Hey everybody, it's Jay, and today I have in front of me my Mossberg 590M detachable magazine-fed pump-action shotgun. Now, about 90 days ago, I loaded this magazine completely full to the top with Federal number 8, just cheap birdshot. And at every 30-day mark, I have unloaded the magazine and taken a look to see how the shells have progressively deformed. In case you don't know, detachable magazine shotguns are kind of notorious for deforming shells. So I decided to see if this Mossberg was going to be really any different. And if you're interested in seeing what that progressive stage looked like, go check out those other videos. Today we're going to find out, for one, if the 90-day mark has increased the deformation, and if it has increased the deformation to a point where it'll impact function. But before we take it to the range, I'm going to set it on the table behind me, and we'll go ahead and inspect each shell individually to see how that deformation has progressed. So we're here at the table. You can see the top round does not have a significant amount of deformation, which has, to this date, never really been an issue. So we'll go ahead and see what the rest look like. So starting with the shells from right to left, right being the topmost shell, left being the bottommost. I don't really see a lot of significant progressed deformation since the 60-day mark, except on the 6th shell, and to a lesser extent the 7th and 8th. The 9th and 10th look pretty good overall. So the next thing to do is just get it out to the range and see if it cycles. Now, I did not have any issues unloading the magazine this time like I did last time, so I suspect that must have been something that I did whenever I was trying to unload them, but again, we'll see out on the range. So I'm going to go kind of slow with this just to make sure I don't have any short cycling issues, just very deliberate motions. That's at the 5th round, which I kind of suspected since it was the most deformed, and had to rack it a little harder. Didn't go in nearly quite as smoothly. And it's clear. So that was the results there. See, we're back. Shotgun empty. Chamber is clear, safety on. So what have I learned? The 590M will deform shells when left loaded on a closed bolt for an extended period of time. At the very least, it'll deform 7.5 birdshot from Winchester. Correction, Federal. So that is one observance. Will it deform them enough to affect cycling? I would say yes. You saw that around the 5th or 6th shell, which is the one that was most deformed. The shell, effectively what it did was nose dived, dolphin dived right here at the front of the magazine and was difficult to strip. So I started to pull the pump forward and it stuck, and then I had to really yank on it to get it to chamber. I'd be curious, and I may do this at some point in the future, to see what would happen if I loaded the magazine full and did not load it into the gun, just left it sit. I suspect there still would be some amount of deformation. I'm not sure, or even just leaving the pump open for that matter. I'm not really sure that doing that, though, would relieve enough pressure that's being exerted downward in the magazine. So maybe a test for another day, but we'll see. The final thoughts about the 590M overall, it's a lot of fun. It's a little chunky feeling. It's not super smooth. Some people will just tell me that that's just the way Mossbergs are. But I think a lot of that, though, has to do with that upward pressure being exerted on the bottom of the bolt, and you have to work the slide a little bit more. And as far as being used for a self-defense shotgun, keeping the magazine loaded, I would just be sure to periodically inspect the shells, make sure that there's not any significant deformation, and if there is, just be sure to cycle the shells out periodically and make sure 90 days is not really that bad of a time. I mean, 3 months. But I did go ahead and check my 930 SPX, and there's a little bit of mushrooming at the top of the magazine, the shells. And it's a tube-fed shotgun, but it wasn't near to the extent this is. And it's been loaded like that for 2 years versus this one's 90 days where it was starting to pretty well round those shells out a little bit. So, yeah, so I guess that's it. 90 days down. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it was informative to you. Please be sure to like the video, share, subscribe, check out our Patreon if you're interested, and all that good stuff. This is Jay, and I will see you again soon next time. You know what? Screw it. I went ahead and loaded another magazine with another 10 rounds of the same ammo, and I'm just going to leave it loaded, but not in the gun, for 90 days. So I'll see you again in 90 days, I guess.